Greetings, fellow detectives. Wizard Kitten here, bringing you Nancy Drew commentary, clues, and cookies. And today we are working on another Nancy Drew inspired speed build in The Sims 4. Today I decided to tackle the Hot Kettle Cafe from Danger on Deception Island. This is something that I have built in my game before, but I don't believe that I've shared it before. And now that we've had more packs come out, I felt that it would actually be easier to accomplish the Hot Kettle Cafe in a way that actually kind of looks like it, because a lot of the items that I ended up using were either from Realm of Magic or Discover University, which are two packs that we got pretty recently. And then this door that I used, which is pretty darn close to the door that's actually in the Hot Kettle Cafe in the game, is from Strangerville. So I used a lot of more recent packs. I didn't restrict myself with packs at all, but I did my best to kind of replicate what the Hot Kettle Cafe looks like in The Sims 4. It turned out okay. It's pretty simple. I realized when I was building the Hot Kettle Cafe that it is a fairly large space with a lot of empty space and not a whole lot of elaborate decoration. So I don't know that it translates fantastically in The Sims 4. I mean, it's definitely fine and it's definitely functional, but there's just a lot of empty space, which isn't my preferred way to do things in The Sims 4. But I do think it is kind of fun, and it does actually feel really authentic and ends up looking quite a bit like the one in the game. So I'm excited for you guys to see it unfold as we move along. So part of the reason I wanted to do this build and that I had time to do this build is because right now in time, social distancing is a really important thing for people to be practicing. So I am able to social distance and work from home. Many of the people who watch these videos know that I am a speech therapist and I work in an elementary school, but schools are currently closed in the school that I work in, the state that I work in. So we are working from home and preparing distance learning for students, but because of that, I am able to spend more time at home. And because of that, I've wanted to do a little bit of more Nancy Drew content. And one way I'm kind of exploring that is actually by trying to do some live streams on Twitch, which is very new. I tried it out today, and it was actually very fun. It was like playing a game with a friend, which is awesome, because when you're social distancing, you don't get to talk to many people. So if you are also social distancing and you're looking for some things to do while you are at home, I am going to try streaming more consistently, at least for a little while. If you would like to go to twitch.tv and search Wizard Kitten, no spaces, no caps or anything, just Wizard Kitten, you can follow me, and you can turn on notifications so that every time I go live, you'd get a notification and maybe join for a Nancy Drew stream sometime. I started playing Secrets Can Kill Remastered today, March 19th, and I plan on going live again tomorrow, March 20th, at about 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. That might vary from day to day, so that follow option is definitely going to be the best option. It's totally free. You don't have to pay anything to follow. That just gives you notifications, just like subscribing on YouTube. So that's another option. Don't feel obligated if that's not something that you're into, but it sounds kind of fun, and I think it'll be a cool way to connect with some people in real time while actually doing these Nancy Drew activities that I love so much and getting to interact with the community ever so much more. So I'm working on this space inside the Hot Kettle Cafe right now, and it was, like I said, a bit of a struggle, especially because the booths that we got from the Sims 4 Dine Out are massive. I don't think that the booths in the Hot Kettle Cafe are actually quite this big, which is probably why the scale felt a little bit weird to me. I had to make the room huge in order to fit everything in, and I still wasn't even able to fit everything in. And then when I looked at like the walls, I mean, it was very difficult to get a lot of the walls to go together. The Hot Kettle Cafe has kind of an eclectic feel, so there's a lot of different spaces in it, and different like wall patterns and different wood tones, and it was hard to make everything feel cohesive. It was interesting. So I did my best, again, in The Sims 4 with the limitations that we have. I used this brick from Discover University. I used a lot of pictures from Discover University. I do think that this bar actually looks excellent. I'm quite happy with the little bar area where Jenna would normally be standing and Holt would be sitting. Definitely happy with that area. And while I'm talking about Jenna and Holt, I did do a custom menu for this location. It is, what's it called? It's coded as a restaurant for The Sims 4. So I did a custom menu, and I included all of the coffee and tea drinks that are actually on the menu in the Hot Kettle Cafe. And I have already uploaded this to the Sims 4 gallery. You can search under my username, which is kind of complicated, and I apologize, but it's Spirit with a capital S, Scarlet with a capital S, and then 100. And I'll link that in the description box down below. But I uploaded this to the gallery so you can download the Hot Kettle Cafe, and you can actually get a clam chowder, and you can actually get it's called a fruit muffin in The Sims 4, but you can get a fruit muffin for your blueberry muffin, and then any of the coffee and tea drinks that are listed on the menu as well, except chai. The only thing I couldn't add in was chai because I don't have that in the game. So I added all the teas and everything. I think that's my favorite part, is that you can actually go to this location and pretend you're Nancy, get yourself a blueberry muffin, get yourself a bowl of clam chowder, and I changed the hosts and the servers so that they are all wearing jeans and dark green t-shirts, just like Jenna. So I imagine that that was maybe the uniform for people who work at the Hot Kettle Cafe. There is a host station and a chef station because it's coded as a restaurant, because that's, in my opinion, the best way to get this place to function like the Hot Kettle Cafe actually would. I mean, there's all this seating, so it might as well be an actual restaurant. The cafes in The Sims 4 really do not work very well. You end up standing in line for a long time, and sometimes you still don't even get your order, and I wouldn't have been able to customize the menu or have clam chowder as an option, and you can't make the Hot Kettle Cafe and not have clam chowder as an option. So I did that. I decided a restaurant was the best way to go for it. If you want to change it into a cafe, you certainly could. You would probably just have to change out the bar to one of the cafe stations. But there's still the latte machine and everything. I changed the storage room into a kitchen, and then I add, over by the bookcase, a little bathroom off the side. The outside of this building does not look very impressive at all. It's basically just a big cube with a really boring roof, and that's because I was trying to be authentic, and I was trying to really capture what this building looks like in the game. And in the game, it's just kind of a big old cube. I mean, we only see the front, and then the inside is just a couple square rooms. So it's just a big box. I mean, it's fine. A lot of places in real life are actually just big boxes. It was still really fun to make. It's just the idea of being able to go to a place in the game that's so iconic and that we love so much is just a lot of fun for me. I think that's awesome. So we're putting in all of the seating. I was pretty happy with these chairs that I found. I think these are just base game chairs, the blue ones, but they looked a lot like the ones in the game. And then there was this little seating area over here. I couldn't find chairs that matched exactly, but I found a few that were pretty close. I added in basically everything that was in the build originally, in the actual game. And then I added a couple extra seating areas. Because there was so much empty space, it just did not feel right to have a whole area of that floor empty. I'm guessing in the game it has to be that way because Nancy's character needs to be able to navigate through the space, and there can't really be anything in her way. Otherwise it would make the navigation tricky or something like that. So I just filled it in with an extra table, so there's even more seating. I think there's 20 chairs throughout the Hot Kettle Cafe. So people can sit at the booths, and then people can sit at the tables, and then we do end up doing kind of the little space to the side. If I'm pausing every now and then, that's just because I had to constantly keep playing and pausing my walkthrough videos, actually, for Danger on Deception Island, so that I could see still images of what the place actually looked like. So here, I'm trying to find the next video where Nancy is actually able to go into that side area, kind of like it's almost like a party room, really. So I was trying to find that video, which is why we're sitting here admiring the little bar area as long as we are. I find it eventually. And then I did realize, too, that there's actually a cutout in this wall that looks into the bar area. I never knew that when I played the game. I never realized that. I always thought it was just one big wall, but there actually is. You can actually look into the party room from the main area. So, kind of interesting. So I'm putting that in, adding a couple other details. I wish I could have done more stained glass things. I think that would have helped a lot, because in the Hot Kettle Cafe, the booths have these beautiful stained glass backings, and that open section, that like window area that looks over into the next room, that also has some beautiful stained glass. The only stained glass options we have in The Sims 4 are the windows that came with Realm of Magic, and then like the doors that came from Strangerville. None of the windows in Strangerville actually have stained glass, it's just the doors. The doors are fantastic. I held off on getting Strangerville for quite a while because the idea just did not appeal to me, but now in present times, playing through it is actually kind of fun and feels realistic and interesting, so I did break down and buy it, and I do actually really love the build items that came with Strangerville. I think they are fantastic. So that definitely made it worth it, even if I don't really play the story hardly at all, which I don't know that I will. I might play it once and then never do it again. I do still like the world and the build items that came with it, so that's fun. It's fun. And then I am working on putting in the storage room, which again in the game is just a storage room, but in this is actually the kitchen. I'm pretty sure it should be functional enough. I made sure to turn move objects off when I was putting in the kitchen, so it should work just fine. I know though that the Dine Out pack is very glitchy, so it's entirely possible that things might not work perfectly when you go there. For me, sometimes I'll go to a restaurant and it won't work, but then the next time that I go, it does work. So sometimes it's just hit or miss, and you just try. I do love these shelf objects from Dine Out. I think they are really helpful for decorating like closets and garages and storage spaces in general, and it worked perfectly. It looks very similar to the one that's actually in the game. And then I added a fair amount of clutter on the walls to make it actually look like a real functioning kitchen. Again, I kept move objects off. If you do download this from the gallery, I would recommend turning move objects on. If you're not sure how to do that, you hit Shift-Control-C on your keyboard to open up the cheat bar, and then type in bb.moveobjects space on. And if you do that, that helps all of the objects that I've placed with that cheat download more effectively. Those are things that that cheat really just allows you to put things down close to one another in ways that you normally wouldn't. It sometimes will interfere with the functionality of objects, but it often doesn't. It's really helpful for like putting clutter on shelves like I did behind the bar. I filled it up with a bunch of different clutter options. So that cheat is really helpful, and it would probably be good to have it on when you download just in case it does interfere. Cute little bathroom here that I just filled in with all of the necessities. You've got your toilet, you've got your sink. I added a couple paintings so it didn't look so drab. Nice little garbage can. They don't actually use those paper towels, but you know, they're there just in case. It's kind of interesting to me actually that the Hot Kettle Cafe itself does not have a bathroom. Like, what does Jenna do if she's there all day long? Does she have options? I don't know that she does. It was really tricky getting all of the angles from the game. Like I said, I was playing and pausing videos all the time. It was crazy. I think this restaurant location is one of my favorites in the entire series as far as places to get food. I think it feels very homey, really cozy, and it looks very realistic. In the game, it looks more realistic. I don't know how realistic it looks in The Sims, but in the game, it looks realistic just because it's kind of a hodgepodge. It looks like, what are they called? It's like dining clubs or something like that. Reception clubs. It's a thing in the Midwest. A lot of them are in Wisconsin, but I can't think of what they're called. If you can think of what they're called, let me know in the comments down below. But it's basically just these big dinner clubs. They're not very fancy on the outside. They're usually just like this building, a big square, and then they're filled with a bunch of seating, but the menus are usually a little bit more fancy, so you can maybe get like some really nice fish or some steak or things like that. things that are a little bit on the more upscale side. That's definitely what this feels like to me. It feels a lot like that kind of restaurant. These little lights from Tiny Living actually worked pretty well. They look a lot like the lights that are in the game. I think there's only 2 that hang from the ceiling in the game, but I added a few more. And then I did elaborate on the outside a little bit. I added more flower boxes to the other side. I added a seating area over on the left side of the build, just kind of like a big fountain area, just to make it more, to fill in the space more. There's a couple things obviously in here that aren't in the actual Hot Kettle Cafe, but you can see as I'm moving around, checking to make sure that it looks like all of the screenshot areas. And I do actually think it does. I think that ended up being quite successful. Pretty happy with that. And next I'll be working on the roof and then finishing that outside seating area. I don't know how long I'll be able to post some extra content. Again, summer is generally when I post the majority of my content, but things are a little bit unpredictable right now, so who knows? I might have more options in the future. If you'd like to subscribe, that's definitely the best way to stay up to date. You might see I might post random videos here and there without a real definitive schedule really until kind of summer starts to arrive. So feel free to subscribe if you're interested. Now is definitely a time that I'm finding that I am really wanting some YouTube videos and some streams to watch. It's a great way to spend some time when you're at home alone or at home with your family. It's just a nice way to spend the time, kill some time. Plus it's nice to just have a stream on in the background or something while you're doing something, like while I'm cleaning or cooking. I'd love to have just that noise on in the background, something to listen to. Makes it a little bit more fun, you know? So, we are working on the seating area now out here. I tried to blend it in reasonably well with Windenburg, because this is kind of just something that I was working off of in my own mind. Obviously, this isn't attached to the build in the game, or at least we don't see this part of the build, so this is just something that I added to give it a little more character and to make the build a little bit more functional. I do end up adding some like chess tables, so there's more for your sim to do here. So they can maybe come on a dinner date to the Hot Kettle Cafe or like a cute little coffee date or something, then go outside and play some chess, play a game together, wish on the fountain, cuddle on those benches on the outside. Cute little things like that. And we are finishing up pretty soon here and moving into the screenshots. I just decided to add some ivy to that wall to give it a little bit more dimension so it wasn't just a plain brick wall. But yeah, these are where I tried to take screenshots that emulate the shots in the game that we see. So I think that entrance actually looks great. I feel like that's very similar to how it is in the game. Fun little courtyard area from a couple different angles. Nice place for your Sims to hang out, spend some time. And then a couple screenshots from the same view that Nancy sees things in the game. So you can see all of the seating areas, you can see all of the windows, the art on the walls. Everything came together pretty well. And there's the bar area. That's definitely my favorite part. I can absolutely see Holt sitting there. Jenna's standing behind the counter. I think it's awesome. I had a lot of fun with this. It was definitely a good time, so I really hope that you enjoyed this build. Thank you so much for watching, fellow detectives. As I said, if you would like to follow me at twitch.tv, search Wizard Kitten. Otherwise, new videos coming soon. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.